Hi. In this video, I wanted to talk specifically about the differences between LLMs and LLMs being large language models. And I kind of came up with, I think, a unique way in order to go about this. So, what I want to do is showcase essentially three different models of large language models. I think two of them you'll be very familiar with, and then one I think a lot of people won't be familiar with. And then I want to show a few different iterations of that one that I think people won't be familiar with. And how I want to set this up is I asked all of these LLMs the same exact question. And I want to essentially frame this video by just essentially going through the answers to this same question that I asked to the different large language models. And then so the very first thing that I want to showcase and highlight is my response to this particular question. So here's the question and how I would have responded and how I did respond. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the Llama model compared to other large language models? I'll put this prompt into several models to test and showcase the various response capabilities. My response would be, Llama is the back-end architecture that can be used for large language models, similar to how ChatGPT utilizes a framework built by OpenAI and Bard utilizes a framework built by Google and based on Lambda architecture. Llama is built by Stanford, so it has an academic pedigree as opposed to a corporate one. I would say that this creates its own strengths and weaknesses in and of itself. The strength of Llama compared to other LLM frameworks is that it can borrow learning and observations from its predecessor generations. For example, Alpaca, which is the predecessor of NeoGPT and Llama, is able to borrow information that NeoGPT learned and incorporate it into its framework. So the training times can be significantly reduced for Alpaca as opposed to the previous generations, which would be Llama and NeoGPT in this instance. The weakness of Llama compared to other LLM frameworks is that it doesn't have anywhere near the financial backing of, say, an OpenAI. It's also not as robust as OpenAI, Lambda, or other commercial frameworks for similar reasons. Overall, I think that Llama lacks in larger funding. What it lacks in larger funding, it makes up for in scrappiness and large-scale support from academia. When I look at places such as GitHub or Hugging Face, it's Llama and its predecessors that the open source community is backing currently. So, just as a general overview, again, I assume a large audience doesn't know anything about Llama. So Llama would be, again, the equivalent of Lambda or OpenAI. And then so within that, there's different versions. Like so with OpenAI, with ChatGPT, you've got ChatGPT 2, ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 4, and then also subvariants within that. Llama would be the same exact thing. You have different versions of Llama, and then you have predecessors of Llama. Like so Alpaca, which we'll talk about, is a predecessor of Llama. So now that we've given this kind of general overview and this prompt, let's go through this prompt and the different responses that we got from the different large language models and see the differences and kind of talk through that. So starting off with Google Bard. Here is Google Bard's response. Here are some of the strengths and weaknesses of the Llama model compared to other large language models. Strengths. More efficient and less resource intensive than other models. Llama is designed to be more efficient and less resource intensive than other models, making it more scalable and easier to deploy. Can be trained on a smaller data set than other models. Llama can be trained on a smaller data set than other models, making it more accessible to researchers and developers. Generates more creative and informative text than other models. Llama generates more creative and informative text than other models, making it more useful for a variety of tasks. Weaknesses. May not be as accurate as other models. May not be as robust as other models. May not be as versatile as other models. Overall, Llama is a powerful language tool with a number of strengths. However, it also has some weaknesses that should be considered when choosing a model for a particular task. So the very first thing that I would say up front with this particular framing from Bard without any sort of prompting whatsoever, further follow-up prompting in the system, I would say that this particular response is less in depth than other responses that I think you could find from other language models. I do like the structure of this. I do like the strengths of and the strengths and weaknesses. I think that the overall strengths and weaknesses and the information that Bard gives on this is accurate. I think that it could do a better job of following up with like actual specific examples. And I know from working with Bard, if I did prompt follow-ups, that it would go more in depth. But just highlighting that overall. So now let's go ahead and look at kind of the Llama models and different variations of that. And so, as I mentioned, just like ChatGPT, there's different models of Llama. So this is called Bayes 7B, and Bayes 7B is a Llama model. And then so just highlighting that, and then so this particular Llama model could say something completely different than another Llama model. Like each individual like training could have its own like personality, and so I want to highlight that as one thing within this, and one of the first things as we go through this. So Bayes' response is, the Llama model is one of the largest language models ever trained. It has the ability to understand large amounts of text and break it down into individual words and parts of speech, allowing for extremely accurate translation and analysis. It also has strong sentiment analysis capabilities and can identify feelings in text, making it ideal for applications in marketing and customer service. However, Llama is only trained in one language and cannot be easily adapted to other languages, so it has some limitations in terms of internalization. Overall, I would say that this is much more conversational and more concise and robust overall as far as the information that it's providing than the larger models or the commercial models that people are familiar with. So just highlighting that, I think that it's a major strength of the Llama model in its actual capabilities to shape and craft concise language. And so let's go ahead and take a look at another Llama model, and then this one is the this one is called Stack Llama, and then so Stack Llama is based again off of the Llama model, and I ask it the same question, and this one gives a unique answer. So there are very few other related posts on this site, but none that provide an up-to-date comparison between their performance. The current leading answer is this one by Matthew Gillard, who has some interesting benchmark results in table forms with his own models. The difference here appears to be primarily due to an optimization algorithm used for training. One thing to note is he's only testing English language NLP tasks. It would certainly be nice if someone did a comprehensive benchmark against all major languages, for example Russian. However, given that most of existing commercial NLP systems use GPU power instead of CPU, which typically provides a 10x speedup over vanilla implementations of such code, my guess is we won't see much improvement in a performance until large-scale GPU hardware gets more widely adopted. Update. A newer question about the large-scale machine translation using Google Translate, which also includes Chinese, was asked here. So I want to highlight this answer, and what I'm going to say just up front and immediately, because I know what all these answers are, is that I'm going to rate this the number one answer overall. And I think that there's going to be just my upfront assumptions. I think that there's going to be debate as to whether or not this is the number one answer or ChatGPT is the number one answer. I'm rating this answer above the ChatGPT answer because I think that this is far more concise. It goes very in depth into the actual creation of the model. Like this particular answer is actually giving me more specific insight into the actual person who created the Llama model, and then so giving me links to external sources and external papers that I can then link to and ask questions from. So to me, this is just the cream of the crop answer. Fantastic, well done. And I think this is what I wanted to showcase within this video, is that when it comes to large language models and when it comes to AI overall, this is all experimental and all training. So the top ones that you know on the market right now aren't maybe necessarily the top ones. I think that Llama gives anything that's on the market right now a run for its money in terms of performance, and I think that this showcases that. So That said, let's go ahead and look at this one, which is Alpaca Lora. And so Alpaca is kind of like Alpaca would be a predecessor of Llama. So this would be like son of Llama. And then so son of Llama says that the Llama model has several strengths compared to other large language models, such as its ability to process large amounts of data quickly and accurately, as well as its ability to learn complex relationships between words and phrases. Additionally, the Llama model has the potential to be used in a variety of applications, such as natural language processing, machine translation, and natural language understanding. However, the Llama model has several weaknesses compared to other large language models, such as its inability to generalize to unseen data and its lack of interpretability. Additionally, and then it gets cut off because Son of Llama doesn't know how to create text boxes that can scroll yet, but what we can see is that Son of Llama or Alpaca gives like this response is if this were a full response, this might be the number one response because this is going again very concise, very in depth on these topics. So again, like while it's not like the answer is not as long as the BARD answer that we saw in any of these, it's a lot more concise. So like this, like you can see to me like differences in language and language capabilities that there's certain things within the Llama algorithm that the commercial algorithms just don't have at the moment. So with this, let's go ahead and go to ChatGPT. So, and I think again, like up front, I think this is going to be like what people might think is the number one answer. So, sure, I can provide some information on the strengths and weaknesses of the Llama model compared to other large language models. Strengths. Llama is a transformer-based model trained on a large data set of web pages, which allows it to generate coherent and fluent text on a wide range of topics. Llama was trained on a diverse set of languages, which means it can generate text in multiple languages and code switch between languages. So one of the reasons why I don't rate this as the number one answer is I question this. Llama was trained to generate text in a question-answering format, which means it's particularly adept at answering factual questions and providing explanations. I don't question that. Llama was designed to be more efficient than other large language models, which means it can generate text more quickly and with fewer computational resources. I definitely don't question that. Weaknesses. Llama is not as well known or widely used as other large language models like GPT-3, which means it may not have as much community support or resources available. Llama has a smaller model size and was trained on a smaller data set than some other large language models, which may limit its capabilities in certain areas. Llama is trained on web pages, which means it may have biases towards certain types of information or sources. Llama is not as customizable as some other large language models, which means it may not be the best choice for more specialized applications that require fine-tuned control over the generated text. So this is a more lengthy response than what we see from some of the Llama responses, like from Bayes, or I think, again, like to me, this would be the competing with that response. The ChatGPT response is definitely longer than this response, but when you look at like the actual amount of factual information packed into the response, and in such a condensed and concise format that is also just like very conversational and very easy to read, this response is a better response to me just flat out and hands down than this is. Like there's more information in a smaller amount of text here than what we're seeing on the other side. There just is, to me. And I think that that's debatable, but like overall, just highlighting again, like when you think of large language models, when you think of AI as a whole, don't think of it monolithically. Thinking of it monolithically is very bad in this sense because different types of AI have different functionality, have different caps in performance. We're at different points of testing. So, for example, the reason why you're seeing so much around language models and around text recognition and image recognition, like DALL-E and Midjourney and all of that, like everything that comes out currently around like images and text, is because those are the two areas where we're the furthest ahead of in all other AI technology, but we're catching up in other areas. So as we get more and more advanced in other areas, you'll start seeing other areas of AI develop. It's just that currently, right now, these are the major two areas where we have the most breakthroughs, the most models, the most information on. But as this information continues to proliferate, as it continues to grow, so does all of this. And then, so if you take away nothing else from this, my first thing is that I hope that you like and subscribe. And if you like this content and want more content around AI, then please do like and subscribe, or visit my website, Turing Solutions. And then also check out Llama or one of its predecessors. It's all free. Hugging Face, GitHub. There's numerous other ways that you can access Llama and various other iterations of Llama. Play around with it, either for business use cases or for personal. Just check it out. I'm telling you, it's a lot more conversational than the commercial ones that you would see, and it might surprise you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you.